Have you ever wondered why some days you wake up feeling full of life, while other mornings feel like you're dragging a heavy weight through every hour? At a certain age, we start noticing that the small things we once never gave a second thought, begin to have a bigger impact on how we feel, how we move, and even how deeply we connect with ourselves. One of the most personal, yet often misunderstood, parts of that journey is how often we engage in self-pleasure and, more importantly, how it affects our well-being. I still remember a conversation I had with Harold, a retired naval officer, proud and disciplined even at 74. He leaned back in his chair, folded his arms, and with a half-embarrassed grin said, "Doc, is there a rule book on this? Because I feel like I'm either overdoing it or not doing enough." And that right there is the question no one seems to talk about openly, but almost every man quietly wonders. How often should you masturbate after 60? Is there a magic number that keeps you healthy, keeps your energy balanced, and helps you feel alive without tipping into guilt, fatigue, or worse, disconnection? The truth is, this isn't about counting numbers or following strict rules. It's about understanding what your body truly needs at this stage of life, physically, emotionally, even spiritually. And the first thing to know is that your body today is not the same as it was 30 or 40 years ago. The rhythms have changed, your hormones have shifted, and the way you respond to stimulation, both physically and emotionally, is evolving. That's not a sign of decline, it's simply part of the natural journey of life. So, how do you figure out what's right for you? It starts by listening. Your body is always speaking, but after 60, it tends to whisper rather than shout. One of the most common signs that your frequency isn't quite in harmony is how you feel immediately after. Do you finish feeling relaxed, energized, and at peace? Or do you find yourself feeling strangely depleted, mentally foggy, or emotionally flat? Harold admitted something many men are too proud to say out loud. He said, "Doc, sometimes I'm just doing it out of habit, not because I really want to. And afterward, instead of feeling better, I just feel empty." That's the first guideline every senior man should understand. Masturbation isn't meant to be a mindless routine. It's a form of self-care, a way to connect with your own body, relieve tension, and even promote hormonal balance. But when it becomes something automatic, disconnected from real desire or intention, it quietly drains more than it gives back. That's why the first key is to bring mindfulness back into the experience. Before you begin, pause and ask yourself, am I doing this because I truly feel the need, or just to fill a quiet space in my day? This simple question helps you turn a habitual act into a conscious, caring choice. And that alone changes how your body responds. When you approach it with presence, everything feels different, deeper, more satisfying, and far less exhausting. But let's talk about another critical signal, how your body recovers. After climax, does your body bounce back quickly, or do you find that your energy feels drained for hours? Are you still able to engage fully with life afterward, or do you feel sluggish, a bit detached from everything around you? This matters more than most men realize. As we age, recovery time naturally increases. That's not a flaw, it's a reminder that your body needs more care, more balance, and less rush. Some men discover that daily masturbation feels just fine, invigorating even, because they keep the experience gentle, relaxed, and emotionally connected. Others find that every other day, or even 2 to 3 times per week, allows their body to maintain stronger energy levels, better circulation, and healthier hormonal rhythms. There is no universal answer because no two bodies, and no two emotional landscapes, are exactly alike. Harold experimented with this himself. Instead of sticking to the daily pattern he'd followed for years, he began tuning into how he felt before and after. Some weeks, once or twice was enough. Other weeks, when he felt more connected to his emotions, more vibrant in his body, he allowed himself a little more freedom. And something remarkable happened. He stopped worrying about numbers. He stopped carrying the guilt of too much or the frustration of not enough. Instead, he found a rhythm that left him feeling stronger, more centered, and yes, even more alive. That's what this is really about, rediscovering a sense of vitality, not through force or rigid routines, but through presence, balance, and care. And while we've talked about the emotional and energetic side of this, there's also something deeply physical at play. Because how often you engage in self-pleasure directly affects critical systems in your body, your circulation, your hormonal balance, even your prostate health. And it's right there, in the unseen workings of your body, where some of the most important expert guidelines take shape. Because if you've never considered how these habits are quietly shaping the long-term health of your most vital systems, it's time to explore that now. Your body, even now, holds incredible wisdom. Every beat of your heart, every surge of circulation, every quiet hum of hormones working beneath the surface, all of it is trying to keep you not just alive but thriving. But the question is, are you working with your body or against it without even realizing? One of the most overlooked aspects of self-pleasure at this stage of life is how directly it affects your circulation. After 60, blood flow becomes the unsung hero of your vitality. Healthy circulation means more oxygen to your brain, stronger heart health, and yes, better sexual function. But here's the part most men never consider. Frequent ejaculation can either support that circulation or quietly strain it, depending entirely on how you approach it. I remember speaking with Leonard, a sharp, witty man of 69 who used to be a marathon runner in his younger days. He confessed that lately, he'd been feeling a strange heaviness in his lower abdomen and occasional numbness that unsettled him. His doctors didn't find anything alarming in his basic checkups, but when we sat down and talked openly, the real picture started to form. He had fallen into the habit of frequent, hurried, and forceful masturbation, believing that staying active would keep his body sharp. But what Leonard didn't realize is that intensity and frequency without awareness can have the opposite effect. Excessive pressure during climax, especially if the pelvic area isn't given enough time to relax and recover, can actually restrict blood flow over time. The very muscles that should support healthy function, your pelvic floor, become fatigued, tight, and unresponsive. And instead of enhancing circulation, these habits begin to impair it. So, how do you strike the right balance? It starts with recognizing that frequency isn't just about how often you engage, but how you engage. Are you tense and rushing toward release, or are you relaxed, breathing deeply, and allowing your body to fully experience the moment? These differences may seem small, but for your heart and circulatory system, they're everything. When you slow down, when you breathe through the experience and stay connected to how your body feels, you're not just enjoying the moment more, you're actively supporting healthier blood flow. Your heart doesn't have to strain. Your muscles don't lock up. And afterward, you'll feel a renewed sense of calm and lightness instead of that all-too-familiar fatigue. There's also a powerful hormonal conversation happening in the background every time you choose to engage in self-pleasure. Your body, whether you realize it or not, is constantly working to maintain a delicate balance of testosterone, cortisol, oxytocin, and dopamine. And here's where things get fascinating. Regular, mindful ejaculation helps keep these hormones balanced, but excess or compulsive habits can throw the system out of sync. Testosterone levels, already lower after 60, can fluctuate depending on how well your body manages stress and recovery. Frequent, disconnected climax can momentarily lower testosterone and spike cortisol, the very hormone that contributes to feelings of anxiety, fatigue, and even stubborn belly fat. But when self-pleasure is approached with calmness, presence, and intention, something remarkable happens. Your body rewards you with a surge of oxytocin and dopamine, those beautiful, feel-good chemicals that lower stress, support emotional well-being, and even help protect your heart. Leonard took this lesson to heart. He didn't stop his habits altogether. Instead, he adjusted his approach. He traded urgency for mindfulness. He started practicing simple breathing exercises before and during the experience, focusing on the sensations rather than rushing toward the finish. And slowly but surely, that strange heaviness disappeared. His energy came back. And perhaps most importantly, his anxiety, something he never realized was tied to these unconscious habits, began to ease. So, if you're wondering whether you're doing this too often, I encourage you to ask a different question. Am I doing this in a way that supports my health, my happiness, and my sense of connection? Because the right frequency isn't about a rigid schedule. It's about balance. About tuning into your body and noticing how it responds. And remember, even in this most private part of your life, the way you care for yourself echoes through every other area. A body that feels cared for responds by giving you more energy, more vitality, more confidence. And when you combine this awareness with other simple habits, like supporting your prostate health through diet and exercise, what you're really doing is building a foundation for long-term wellness. Because beyond the hormonal shifts and circulatory changes, there's something even more personal happening in this conversation, something that touches directly on how you see yourself, how you honor the years behind you, and how you prepare to embrace the years ahead. And that, my friend, is the final and perhaps most important guideline of all. I've seen it time and again, good men who've built careers, families, and legacies, quietly struggle with a question that goes far deeper than just health or hormones. It's a question of identity, of purpose, of connection. And in the most private moments, when the house is quiet and the world feels a little distant, that question surfaces. Am I still the man I used to be? Do I still matter, even in these small, intimate moments? The truth is, how often you choose to engage in self-pleasure is as much about emotional health as it is about physical wellness. And this brings us to the final and most essential expert guideline, reconnecting with the meaning behind it all. Because when masturbation becomes a hollow routine, done out of habit or to fill a space of loneliness, it loses its power to heal, to comfort, and to strengthen. But when it's approached with care, gratitude, and intention, it becomes something entirely different. It becomes an act of self-respect. I remember sitting with Raymond, a soft-spoken gentleman in his early 80s. His hands trembled slightly as he adjusted his glasses, and with a quiet vulnerability, he admitted, "Doc, I just don't feel like I belong in my own body anymore." It wasn't about performance or ability. It was about feeling disconnected from himself, from his sense of vitality, from the joy that once came so naturally. So, I asked him to try something simple. Not to change how often he touched himself, but to change how he approached it. To make it a ritual rather than a routine. To take his time, to create a peaceful space, to light a candle if he wanted to breathe deeply, and to remind himself that this body, this incredible, resilient body, had carried him through decades of life. And that it was still worthy of love, attention, and care. Weeks later, he came back with a light in his eyes I hadn't seen before. "Doc," he smiled, "for the first time in years, it didn't feel like something I had to do. It felt like something I deserved to experience." And that's the heart of it all, isn't it? This isn't about chasing numbers or comparing yourself to the man you were at 30. It's about honoring the man you are today. So how often should seniors masturbate? The real answer is simple: often enough to stay connected to your body, to maintain healthy circulation and hormonal balance, but not so often that it becomes a mindless habit that leaves you feeling empty. For some, that might be every other day. For others, once or twice a week feels just right. There's no perfect formula, only the quiet wisdom of your own body and how it speaks to you when you truly listen. And remember, this part of your life doesn't have to exist in isolation. If you have a partner, open that door again. Have the conversations that might feel awkward but are so deeply needed. If you're alone, know that connection can start within yourself. This is your time to rediscover what pleasure means, not just physical release, but the emotional richness that comes from feeling fully alive. If there's one message I want you to take away, it's this: you are not too old, and it is not too late. Your body may move differently, your desires may feel quieter, but the capacity for joy, for warmth, for deep satisfaction, that never leaves you. It simply waits for you to return to it with gentleness and intention. So, take a moment now, before you move on with your day, and ask yourself, when was the last time I truly felt connected to my own body, not out of obligation, but out of genuine care? If it's been too long, know that you have every right to begin again, today, this very moment. And if this conversation touched something in you, if it reminded you that you still have chapters left to write, I'd love to hear from you. Type a simple one in the comments if this message spoke to you, or share a thought about how you're embracing this part of life with new awareness. And if you haven't already, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who might need this quiet reminder. Because together, we're creating a space where conversations like this aren't just possible, they're celebrated. Here's to you, your courage to listen to your body, your willingness to care for yourself without guilt, and your commitment to living every day with the dignity and joy you so deeply deserve. Your best moments aren't behind you. They're right here, waiting in how you choose to live today. And I promise, when you show up for yourself with kindness and presence, life has a beautiful way of showing up for you in return. Stay strong, stay curious, and most of all, stay open to the wonder that still lives within you.